Hello everyone, and welcome to a sort of new segment for me, which we are calling Cozy Reviews of Cozy Games. I'm here with my coffee, as you can see, black as the night to match my soul. And we're going to just jump into a couple of the games that I've been playing sort of more recently that I didn't want to make a dedicated video for. I've played a bunch of great things over the time that I've kind of been here and there. As you can see, my background is different and I'm still trying to get the lighting right in this space. It is a temporary location, so fingers crossed within the next few videos I'll be back in a kind of more stable space and you'll see me at my full glory. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging for a couple of weeks with videos without me in it, so I thought that this might be a fun thing to do in the interim. So the first game that I want to talk about is one that you all saw me play on YouTube, Spiritfarer. I wanted to kind of make a dedicated video to this, but I kind of gave my thoughts at the end of the playthrough. I kind of gave my immediate thoughts, and since then I have spoken to a number of people who have played the game and have kind of created a more rounded opinion on the game, which I'm kind of glad, because my experience certainly is not the only experience, and I come at it with a different lens to other people, so it's good for me to have that kind of, and I wanted to share that with you. So first and foremost, I adored the game. I think most of you all knew that. I adored mostly the art and the score. I thought they were both beautiful. There are absolutely no faults with how the game looked and how the game sounded. It created the perfect atmosphere and it made for just such a nice experience. I loved the management part of it. I loved creating a boat with things everywhere that you could kind of tailor to what you needed at the time. The only issue that I had with that was that you could never have the perfect boat where there were no gaps anywhere between houses. That will frustrate me until the end of time. I wish that there was a set look that the houses could be in where they were perfect. I scoured the internet for a perfect build of where to put all of the things that were both aesthetically beautiful and useful, and I could never find it. So I think it is truly up to you to make what's best for you, and if you're like me, suffer a little bit for the usability of the ship. I thought that the story, which is the part that's kind of contentious with a lot of people, was extremely moving, extremely emotional, and especially for me, I was able to put either myself or my family members into the characters that we saw throughout the game. And because of that, I really identified with the game, and I really felt the emotions that I believe, having spoken to other people, a lot of people didn't understand what the game was about. It took too long to get to the point where you understood what the game was about, and a lot of the characters nag you to do things throughout the entirety of the game. For me, if someone nags me, I'm just gonna fucking do it. Please don't abuse that now that I've told you that. But more often than not, I will just go do the thing. And I'm happy to be taken along with the characters to, benefit their story and things like that. Like if you're the Spiritfarer, right? That's your role. Your role is to take the spirits to the afterlife. Your role is not to have your own personality within the space. So I don't mind that, I didn't have a voice as much until the later parts of the game. And I won't spoil anything, so if you're coming into these reviews wanting me to talk about the endings, if you want to see the ending, you can watch my video on it. But I won't be talking about any spoilers or anything like that, so fear not. There were some things that were in it that I thought created confusion for me. If I hadn't looked up a backstory element that accidentally spoiled something for me at the beginning of the game, I wonder if I would have been in the same boat as some other people where I didn't know what the fuck was going on with the game for a really long time. There was also one element of the game that kind of makes absolutely no sense, and upon reflection, I still have no idea why it was really added to the game. That was Hades. I don't know why Hades was in the game. I don't know what purpose Hades served, because the comments that he made, at least in English, made no real impact on the story. Why is Hades speaking to you, the Spiritfarer, and telling you that you're coming up at a battle in your life? Like, knowing the whole story, I know, but it doesn't really serve enough of a purpose for him to have even been there. So I think definitely the game could have been better paced in terms of how much of the actual story that we were playing was given to us, because it kind of gets thrown at the end, and not even in a twist way. It's kind of in a, oh, you didn't pay attention the whole time and see that this was the way the story was meant to be? Oh, silly you. But beyond that, beyond those criticisms, I still think the game is incredibly beautiful. I think the game is incredibly worth playing. And if you go into it knowing that you're going to be taken on a journey and do lots of things for lots of people who nag you every day to be fed, you will enjoy the game. I think that the different kind of worlds that we get to see in Spiritfarer are kind of what makes it as exciting as it is. Each area has such a different vibe. It just kind of makes the world feel a little bit more lived. I like the inspiration that they took from real world, and I think that those kinds of things tied in really nicely, having now known the game. One mention that I forgot to say before was, now that there are updates and new characters coming in, I am interested to see later on how those characters fit to the story. I played along when Lily had already been added, so I don't exactly know what happened before in terms of the characters that were canon before that update, and like what changed for them, and whether Lily's story took from other people's storyline or that was completely absent from the game before then. Because if Lily was completely absent from the game before then, I 100% know the criticism of it being completely confusing until the very end, because they do not spoon feed anything to you story-wise with the game. But if Lily's kind of role was fulfilled by someone else, it sounds like the other characters that are being introduced are just filler characters and add to Stella's kind of spiritual journey. So that's nice, and I'm excited to see where that goes. And on to the next game. By the same developer, I played Jotun. You play as Thora, which is a disgraced Viking. She dies an inglorious death, and she now has to prove herself to the gods to go to Valhalla. So the game's premise is far less story-based and far more action-based. It's still a hand-drawn art style, which I really like and what I liked in Spiritfarer. And the score is pretty similar in that it has like that Spiritfarer feeling, which I'm now interested to play Sundered, which is their other game, to see if the vibe of the music is similar. So it has that hand-drawn feel just like Spiritfarer. It has a very beautiful score just like Spiritfarer. But the game is completely different, which is good, but for me is bad. One really cool thing about the game is that the main character speaks completely in Icelandic. You read the subtitles in your native language, so for me, English. And it's just nice hearing Icelandic, which is the closest language, I believe, of the Scandinavian languages to Old Norse, which would be what the gods would speak. So I think that's really cool that they picked that language to carry the story with. I only played maybe a quarter of this game. I was playing it in one day, and I was trying my best to record all of it so that I could have a either full playthrough up of this or a review of it and have like something to play in the background. And it feels like Dark Souls. I've never played Dark Souls. It feels like what a Dark Souls game would feel like to me, but drawn in a way that's really pretty and inviting, and then you get fucking slapped over the head. Like, what? I feel like the game's description is completely misleading. It says that it is an adventure game, and it kind of describes it in the way that Spiritfarer is, minus the management part of it. But it's definitely an onslaught of boss after boss after boss after boss. And if you're wanting more of an exploration game, the game does not give that to you. That is like kind of my only criticism of what I played so far of it. It's just not really my type of game, because unless the game is kind of easier so that I can enjoy the story, I don't tend to enjoy those kinds of games. The bosses themselves aren't too challenging. It's kind of one of those things where you have to play it a couple of times to understand their patterns, and then when you understand their patterns, you can learn how to avoid their attacks and things like that. But sometimes it's just kind of infuriating. I looked up a guide for where I was up to when I was starting to get very frustrated with the game, and I was told that those first two bosses that I had done were the easiest ones by far in the game, and they're very straightforward. And when I read that and knew how much I was struggling with it, I was like, this is not the game for me. But what I do really like about the game is that you get to meet the Norse gods along the way and they give you powers. Your kind of main goal in the game is to fight the Jotun and fight the elementals until you reach Valhalla, and then you'll open the gate to Valhalla, as far as I'm aware. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, I feel like it would be a very beautiful game and it would be good to play. But it does, I think, suffer from, similarly to Spiritfarer, a lack of giving you enough information about the story for you to have the drive to go through the onslaught of bosses, because I had no drive. I'm like, daughter, I don't care about you. I'm sorry, you're disgraced and you're gonna stay disgraced. There's also no tutorial on the controls. The controls are very straightforward, but it would have been nice to know when I'm given a god power, what button to use for that, because they didn't give you that. They just expect you to know. Spoon feed me and baby. Another game that I have picked up recently is Dorfromantik. I was provided a key for this game and it came out, I believe, a few months ago. It is exactly the kind of game that I like playing. And I mean that in the sense of like kind of cozy games that are very chill and very much if you need time for self-care, that you just need to kind of zone out and forget about the world and just like put something on in the background and have something nice to keep your mind kind of going while you're listening to something else. Dorfromantik is that game for you, I think. It is a tile game and you start with one tile and you've got a stack of tiles that you need to place down. They have city tiles, forest tiles, and you've got to match them up to reach a certain number, and then once you reach that number you'll get more tiles and you can kind of play the game endlessly. Kind of looks like Settlers of Catan, kind of that vibe. It's very cute and very slow paced, and I think that the music really adds something nice to that atmosphere. I think the sound effects as well are really beautiful and they're not kind of in your face or anything like that. They're just peaceful and beautiful. It's very difficult sometimes to get all the tiles down and to get a nice number. I don't think I've hit higher than 7,000, and so I challenge anyone, if you play this game, to get higher than that and let me know, because I need to know if it's achievable. Or if I need to just accept the fact that maybe I'm bad at it, but that's fine, because there's nothing wrong with being bad at it. I think the cool thing about it is, even though it's a very simple game, it does kind of make you want to keep playing it. Like it's not like you play it for 2 hours or you get a few times through trying to get to the high score that you get bored and then don't want to do it anymore. They keep giving you new biomes and new special tiles to put down. So you'll have like a waterway or a farm or a mill or, you know, a water town, or just something like more interesting to add to the map that you're kind of making. And it just kind of makes it more and more fun as you unlock things, and they don't come at you too quickly, so it's something that you have to work toward, but it doesn't come at you too slowly where you're like, I can't be fucked getting there. I would highly recommend this game if you're looking for something to keep yourself busy while you're watching Critical Role or watching a podcast or something like that. It's definitely the kind of game for that. And the last game that I have played recently is a visual novel called Serre. I actually got this game through the Black Lives Matter Itch.io bundle, and I have been kind of slowly going through those games, and if people would like for me to go through them and kind of give little reviews and see what's kind of worth playing or kind of what sparks my attention, I'm happy to make more of these cozy reviews doing games from that bundle specifically. But Serre is a romantic visual novel. It takes about 15 minutes to complete, so it's very, very short, and it is about a florist and an alien kissing. It's definitely more than that, but that's what piqued my interest. It's a little lesbian romance and very cute. I think it has a lot of character for how short the story is, and I just think it's very charming, and I think it's just something nice to do while you've got a little bit of time. I am a big fan of kind of alien human romance in stories. I love Mass Effect for that reason, and I also love the web comic muted for that reason. So it kind of satisfied something for me that I already enjoyed in other things. And it had a very beautiful art style, and I thought the music for it really suited, and it was just very comfortable and beautiful. And I definitely think it's something that if you did get the Black Lives Matter bundle, you might as well give a go, because it is very cute. Visual novel, what more could you want, you know? So yeah, I hope that you have enjoyed my little cozy reviews. I definitely want to do more things like this because they're easy for me to do, and it means that I can kind of knock off a whole bunch of games more quickly and share with you my thoughts on them without having to make a dedicated video for them, which sometimes can be a little bit overwhelming for me, especially if the game is shorter and I might run out of things to say very, very quickly. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed, and also I am wearing an Oodie today, and if you too would like an Oodie and some money off, I have a discount code pastelsparkles, which you can pop into the coupon section at checkout. It's $30 off or 25% off if you're in Norway. So bless, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you all next time.